Alright, good evening. Thursday night is round table night. We are starting a slightly earlier this time because we're pretty much on a roll here. So welcome to another edition of the What If Round Table. If you don't know what this is where we talk about what if ideas and we, just give our own honest opinions. And this week I am joined by Haverok.
Hello.
Yeah, and unfortunately Sophie can't be with us today because her internet connection is being a silly butt, pretty much. And basically it means that she has not got a stable internet connection and thusly is tearing her hair out. So we've kind of allowed her just to kind of get that sorted out first, because honestly, nowadays you need a stable internet connection or else, what are you going to do? It's all that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's the Nerd King. Nerd King, I hope your birthday tomorrow will go great. And don't worry, mate.
Yes, thank you, Nerd King, very much for your contribution. Just hope you guys have a nice day tomorrow and wish you all the best. Well, thank you very much, Nerd King. Very much obliged. Oh, and hey, cool.
And again, happy birthday.
Yeah, so happy birthday for tomorrow. So, yeah, but let's get back down to it. If this is your first time here, let's bump up the likes, shall we? We need to get that towards 100. Let's get the algorithm ticking over right here and all that kind of stuff. For those of you who are brand new to these roundtables, if you leave a super chat, you can get your what ifs read out by ourselves, and it's only really mainly to support the channel, as well as basically just get a little good solid list going. So that means we can actually keep tabs, because we do get a lot of suggestions, and I mean a lot.
Give us a little bit interaction with you guys, to see what do you want to see.
Exactly, because some of these ideas do end up being videos in their own right. And
Saturday.
Yeah, no, look forward to Saturday. That's definitely going to be a surreal one. But yeah, we're also probing ideas for this year's April Fool What If. That comes on a Wednesday, so that's going to be interesting. So get your thinking caps on. We will be reading all the comments. So even if you can't do a super chat, that's totally okay. Haverok is still reading the comments.
Yeah.
So you never know. But yeah, the super chats really do help support the channel and stuff like that, because the internet algorithm all today meant that today's video didn't really get shown that much, unfortunately. It was a good video. I like making it. That was a lot of fun. It was 5 ways the Moro arc could end. So that was going to be a lot of fun. But let's get things started off with Paparazzi. What if Raditz survived was abridged? So, what if Raditz Turned Good was abridged? Well, actually, funny you should mention that. I'm actually working on a second comic with Nexus. So, you guys know the Day of Zaidan comic we did last year? Well, no, actually, a year and a bit ago. We're now doing a little thing called The Awakening of R. But basically, this is like, what if Raditz Turned Good? If anyone's new to Dragon Ball R&R, they can just read that comic, and they can be pretty much caught up to speed. If they would rather, get a good idea quickly about what Raditz Turned Good is all about. So, you guys will see that in the fullness of time, so don't worry about that. Red Dragon Force 2, what if the Spirit Bomb purified those it hit? Takes away evil traits but not negative traits like pride and other characteristics. Also, basically, it's like Goku going, Moon Healing Activation! So basically, he has the same power as, Sailor Moon. Ultimately.
Well, that will take a lot of the stakes, because that will probably how he would end every single villain.
Yeah, but it would make much more sense when you see fan art of Goku dress up as Sailor Moon. You'd be basically, oh yeah, they have similar powers.
It would still destroy Kid Buu, because there was nothing good about Kid Buu.
Yeah, but basically it'd just be a pile of rubble. It's like, oh, guess there wasn't anything good about him.
Bubblegum. He would transform into
a
strawberry bubblegum.
He's a pack of gum. It's like...
Yeah. No one could think about him.
Yeah. Looks like Boo bit off more than he could chew. Red Dragon Force 2 goes, reminder, I can super chat what ifs at my discretion. Well, yeah, basically, Red Dragon Force 2 is observing for people. If you are not able to do super chats, Red Dragon can bring them up to the fore, and also since he's a moderator, he can pretty much do it as he pleases.
He's the champion of the people, guys.
Yes, he's champion of the people. Champion of the round table. Alright, Paparazzi again. What if Krillin was reincarnated as Kuriza? Well, again, funny you should mention that, but what we're coming up with on Saturday. But, for the sake of this one, I can imagine he'd be a very jittery young fellow, and he'd be prone to a lot of panic attacks, and he would know the Kianzan from birth. And Frieza would just be, that's weird. How does he know that already? I didn't even teach him that.
Wait, why does my kid doesn't have a nose?
I could have sworn that father made sure that we all had noses. This is very odd. It'd be very much of a conspiracy thing, almost. Molly Shadows. What if Goku and Raditz were sent to Earth and raised by Grandpa Gohan? Like, both boys hit their heads in the crash and forgot their Saiyan ways. I've seen various fan comics about this, and I like it, because Raditz is like a bigger brother type thing. So, you know, he kind of teaches Goku various things, so they forget about the Saiyan ways. But at the same time, I feel like just, you remember that he's your bigger little brother and stuff like that. You really remember a lot of things. So, I can imagine them still being brothers, as it were. Would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. Like, this would be something between Gine and what if Gine and Arendar, but like, it's a cute idea, but I think in terms of creating a series, I think it would be too similar to those two. But yeah, like, probably a lot of stuff would go easier. I wonder, like, the biggest difference I feel, would Raditz become a martial artist? In that scenario, that's the biggest question.
That is the biggest question, yes. But basically,
and he could actually fall for Bulma in this one.
Yeah, he could do. He's a tall, muscular, dark-haired Saiyan.
You know what I think he would do in that scenario? What? He would join Yamcha and become a desert bandit.
Oh, desert bandit Raditz and Yamcha as a pair.
He would think Yamcha is so cool. The young Raditz, I feel. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be. Paparazzi again. What if Frieza's cut off body parts grew into his kids? Again, I wish I had I should have made a new soundbite. Sorry, that's a new one. Yeah. That's new. So basically, if you somewhat kind of like fail-safe thing that King Cole would have made. So basically, if you get chopped up, you can like spawn, like you can basically reproduce through different slices. Well, if that were the case, basically it would depend on how broken it was, whether it was like something their power was divided, whether they could meld back into one person, that kind of thing.
And question: do you consider a severed head to hold the consciousness of Frieza, or do you consider a severed head a new part that would spawn a new child, and then body would spawn a new one? Like, this is interesting, but it causes a lot of narrative problems, and like, what knowledge do they have? Like, very a lot of narrative problems, I feel. Interesting, but complicated.
Complicated, yes, but that's fair. Alright, Paparazzi again. What if Raditz was sent to Earth instead of Kakarot, hitting his head included, and Kakarot was being raised by Nappa due to a life debt? Okay, so basically, if Raditz were to have the hitting the head on the noggin, he is an older person, so I imagine the reasons why he would stick around Grandpa Gohan would mainly be food related. Like, he's got nowhere else to go, he likes food and stuff like that, he bumps his head, he basically becomes like a really helpful son and stuff like that. And not to mention the fact he does have a much better control when it comes to his Great Ape form.
Yeah.
And he only continues to practice it even more so, is that he would, Grandpa Gohan would still be alive. And,
And there is a chance that in this scenario, when he would be alone, Bulma might not have gotten the Dragon Ball. Or she would.
It depends on how keen Raditz was inclined to do it. And also, he probably would be a bit more aware about how basic things worked. Like, a car wouldn't freak him out, as it were. So there's that. Heartless Fang. What if Gohan wasn't the first half Saiyan hybrid? What if other half Saiyans from other races started showing up in the series? Maybe failed hybrids. Well, I mean, that's perfectly valid. I mean, come on. I feel like so long as it's a humanoid-like alien or being, any Saiyan can breed. Like, come on, I see people, doing that with Chilai and Broly, coming up with Bean. I mean, I know that Isabella did, but one of our artists, Isabella, did that.
Yeah, and I mean, guys, like it's our headcanon that those scientists may be half devils. Like, okay, she might have dyed her hair blue, but like I don't think that's the detail that Toriyama would go for. And they have, they were given Russian accents for some reason. They don't have tails. Why would they remove their tails? I feel that the scientists might be half devils, and like if they invaded them, it's pretty grim, but they could invade them in many ways. To say that,
I think that could easily be like that. But I also, I would realistically think that it's perfectly logical for other races, for Saiyans who are bred with other races and stuff like that. It's totally valid.
I mean, it always has been a part of conquering, it's...
of course. Shut up, boy, think of the bloodline. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Podo was mentioning that Super Chat's not letting him send his questions. I've noticed that he's been able to do so now. But, sorry about that trouble, Podo. Red Dragon Force 2 asks on behalf of Rydika, what if literally no one could transform? Well, it would basically make it very dry. As in, if no one could transform, it would basically mean that there is no... Kaioken would be the peak, because people describe Kaioken as a technique rather than a transformation. So, Kaioken would be the most powerful thing that you could possibly have, because, again, people mention it as a technique. So, yeah. So, ultimately, when it comes to Goku against Frieza, Goku with Kaioken times 20 would whomp his ass.
Yeah, because Frieza would be in
Frieza couldn't transform.
Form.
Yeah. But he could say that he could transform to instill fear because he's strong enough already. So that kind of stuff. And also it would mean that, Goku probably would be even less likely to share Kaioken with anybody to have an advantage.
Also, Grandpa Gohan would be still alive because no Ozaru, which is also technically a transformation.
Yeah. No monkey either. Absolutely. Paparacha, what if all deities from Zeno down to Kami Dende wore Potara and knew of their fusion powers? So basically if everybody had Potara, well, I can imagine the two Zenos and ultimately when they get bored with each other, like, turn them, kind of fuse with themselves. And let's say, for subversion's sake, this being Toriyama, it turns Zeno into this, full-sized adult being who is very attractive. Like, you put two Zenos together, and you come up with, like, you come up with someone very suave, very good-looking, stuff like that.
I am the Omni King, and the baseline, like from JoJo.
Yes, exactly, absolutely. That could be that could be funny, absolutely.
But still has the same voice.
Oh, but everyone goes like, wow, he's kind of cute. Hello, my name's the Omni King. Nice to meet you. Whoa. Oh,
We did that fan art.
Adult Zeno.
Yeah.
Adult Zeno X Cronoa. Full power Cronoa.
Oh no. Oh no.
Bartson says now, what if Dr. Gero found Raditz after the battle with Goku and Piccolo and turned him into an android? I think if Raditz was still warm, I would imagine probably. It would depend. I don't think Gero would realize and be aware of like how tempestuous Saiyans are. If Gero could barely control a couple of teenagers, what makes him think he could control a Saiyan? And a Saiyan that proud as Raditz. So, yeah, basically he would have to wipe his memory clean.
I would think that, like out of all of three, I think Raditz would be easiest to control. Gero. Still.
It's still a challenge, though.
It is a challenge, but I actually like this story. Like, I actually can
Okay.
can feel this happening to have, like an Android Saiyan hybrid.
Well, let's make a note of it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Paparazzi is next. Devon asks, what if Raditz's scouter was off? Well, basically, if Raditz didn't have his scouter on, he wouldn't have been able to sense the power of everybody in there. And basically, oh hey, hello Carthus Dojo. Good to see you in here. I just saw you popped in. Enjoy yourself.
Hello.
Get yourself comfortable. If Raditz's scouter was off, or basically, it would have meant that Vegeta and Nappa would have had no clue about where he went. Like, they'd have had no clue about where he went, and basically that would be the end of that. As in, like, they would go, oh, there are Saiyans. And, yeah, it'd be so funny if Raditz goes, you just wait, there are 2 Saiyans that will come to avenge me. You go, you hearing this?
Narrator, they didn't.
Narrator, yeah, Raditz dies thinking of it, and then the narrator goes, they didn't. It'd be very tragic, and it would just make Raditz look even lamer.
So no Frieza saga, just the Android saga.
Yeah, exactly.
And Androids would have won probably. That's it until Beerus shows up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Okay, Red Dragon Force 2's next. Adept asks, what if Demon King Piccolo's wish worked for Kami too? That would have been a very interesting side product. As in, like, you know, King Piccolo wishes for youth, but somehow that makes Kami young. So basically, it would mean that Kami would be much stronger.
Yeah.
Much stronger, and he would probably be able, you know, Goku in that 3 years training would be even stronger. He would have whomped Piccolo Jr.
Yeah.
Piccolo Jr. would have been toast.
And Kami would be pretty active during King Piccolo saga.
Yes.
Probably. Do more.
Yes, he'd be saying, little did you know that your stunt worked on me as well. After all, we are connected. And stuff like that. That would be very cool.
Yeah.
To have that kind of action. Margaret Evans says, what if the heart medicine didn't work? If the heart medicine didn't work, you'd have the history of Trunks, pretty much. And I'll play the sound because we haven't played the sound. Well, there you go. That's what we got there. Okay. Paparazzi. What if Gohan accidentally launched himself in Raditz's pod to Nappa and Vegeta's location during the Raditz fight? Well, they probably would have had some inkling about who he was, but he would say, hey, Vegeta, what's a kid doing here? Don't tell me he was that stupid and he decided to come back to us. Oh no, Nappa, but hey, let's say finders keepers. He can't be as much of a weakling as Raditz. They just take her. Oh, my kid now. They just take him. It's like, okay, all right, we'll just take him. So yeah, the gang would have to find some way using King Kai as some kind of barometer to try and find Gohan, as it were.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of thing. That would have been
or to send them making DragonBallZ and make them very confused.
Yeah, very confused indeed. Margaret Evans again. What if Super Saiyan was permanent but still drained energy? So basically, if it was like a permanent power, but it still drained energy, they would have to find some way of accessing newer transformations to try and ensure that its efficiency was maximized.
I would say Goku wouldn't live past Namek because, like, after the fight with Frieza, he was already drained and pretty wounded,
True.
and it would drain him dry, and he would die.
Yeah, I mean that is fair because otherwise, yeah, could be easily the case, as in, like, you know, could be very, very messy. All right, next up is Paparazzi. What if Raditz survived but didn't turn good? I still think the whole thing with Vegeta and Nappa disowning him for basically being useless for the last time. See you later, Carthy. But I would say probably Raditz would have to basically try and survive. maybe try and see if they could get into, like, you know, Vegeta's good books again. So that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I think that's the way it could be. Joshua Hunt, thank you very much for your addition of becoming a member. Thank you, thank you. All right, Margaret Evans again. What if Jiro knew about Cell's time travel? Okay, so let's just say, for example, a time machine traveled and it just so happened to, like, materialize near North City, for example. I would imagine probably that it would be like, Jiro would be like, well, that's very strange. You get, like, some kind of energy reading. He would almost kind of go into investigate and then find his creation. Cell doesn't absorb him or anything like that, but basically just, like, saying, you know that I'm going to be doing fantastic things, but Master, just be sure to let my other version survive. That kind of stuff. There'd be a little bit of a talking, but I think just Jiro would be in the assurance that his experiment works.
Jiro would take him straight to the lab and allow him to absorb the androids.
Yeah, true. And then it would end up being.
And then Cell would off him because he would
of course
have no favor. Yeah. I don't know if he would want the other Cell to survive because that's competition, you know.
Yeah, but I think by the time that Cell came to be, he'd be way more stronger, and also the planet would have been blown up.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what he wants to do. So yeah,
he would wipe the planet and just make a letter to himself. You know, first, lol.
oh, that big oof there. Paparazzi, what if Potara fusion lasted until earrings were removed and no one knew until Vegito takes his off? Well, technically, I think that is the case, because as you saw with Kefla, if the earrings are destroyed, like if they get damaged or they come off, the fusion breaks.
Yeah, but the thing is, to damage them, you probably need some... Like, it's not like a normal person like you and me could destroy Potara. Like, you need
you need something very
ridiculous levels of
but
power.
It just shows that if those earrings are not connected to that person, then the fusion can break. So,
yeah.
In a way, if they took the earrings off, it depends if they can come off, then it could happen, basically. So that means that the whole 1 hour time period thing, it wouldn't really matter, because they would just take it off though. Tempest Mark decides to disagree with me in regards to that. I think showing the earrings breaking, I think I know it, in a way, is to bring back Kale and Caulifla and stuff like that. And also, I know the position that they end up in fighters once they defuse. Yes, of course, that's fan service, yes. But, yeah, it's just, it's a lot of little various factors and stuff like that. And Paparazzi's back at it again with, what if Chi-Chi started training when she learned Piccolo kidnapped Gohan? That could be some kind of motivation to train. But at that same time, I don't think, and Tempest Mark basically with the Potara earrings is to make sure they can't be used again. Yeah, of course, that's obvious. Because that's what happened with the Universe 2 lot. They were going to have Potara earrings and then they broke. So it means but we got denied, pretty much. But yeah, with Chi-Chi, with Piccolo, I feel that's a very fair assessment in that sense. Because I think Chi-Chi, she'd have nothing else to do. So I think if she decided to be constructive instead of mourning, she would just try and find some way of avenging Goku, as well as trying to rescue her son.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends on whether she was actually more inclined to do it. That's the big factor here. Red Dragon Force 2 asking on behalf of Randall Fry, what if General Blue defeated Mercenary Tao? Well, basically, if General Blue was able to somewhat counter the Killer Tongue, I think that could that would basically Mercenary Tao, he would ultimately, like, he would eschew his mercenary ways and basically make it his life goal to destroy General Blue. That's the thing. So, that's what he'll probably do. As in, he will not let that go, because he's meant to be known as the most effective mercenary in existence. He could not let that that slide, as it were. Would you say, Haverok?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Like and like kill. I don't think so. But again, defeat. That would be like cyber. Like would be interesting to have Cyber Tao coming into play earlier.
Yeah, and basically gunning for blue instead. Yeah, that could be cool. Yeah. All right, Brendan Little is next. What if the Widow's Peak hit its natural course and Vegeta's hairline receded to the point that its hair resembled the boss in Dilbert? Yeah, you if that happened in the actual dub around the early 2000s, you get like something. Well, looky here, if it ain't Krusty the Clown. There'd be some kind of Krusty joke to be hip and current and stuff like that. But basically, if that happened, I don't think anyone would take Vegeta seriously. He'd have to have a comb over. He'd have a Super Saiyan comb over.
Yeah.
And then every time he transformed into Super Saiyan, he'd have to comb it again. That was his dilemma. It's like, Vegeta, we have to transform into Super Saiyan.
Well, wait. I don't think that'll be necessary.
What? What are you talking about? We need to transform.
No, Kakarot, you do that. Don't mind me.
He's just like, touching his hair, self-consciously.
I think in this case, Vegeta would just shave completely.
Yeah, that too. And then, but Ten Shinhan would go like, well, look who's joined the Ball Brigade. That could be funny. Paparach is next. What if Piccolo was treated like his numerical age? Okay.
Who's the little Namekian? Who's the little Namekian?
No, gets the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament. Oh, who's coming to fight me? Are you gonna fight me? You gonna beat my butt? Oh, come on. You can do it. You can do it. There's a good little Piccolo. That could be funny. Yeah. And then it would be basically loads of baby talk, loads of baby voices for the early part of Z as well, that kind of stuff. James Clapham, thank you very much for your super chat. Nick Rags next with, what if Goku and Raditz were twins? They would definitely be fraternal twins for a start, because have you seen the height difference between them? That's a pretty big difference, if ever I do say so myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But ultimately, I feel like not really much would change, because their personalities are quite different, but I don't think they would be identical twins, that's for sure. Fraternal twins, but their own different personalities. There'd be an interesting dynamic almost. I think there'd be an even bigger rivalry between them. Certainly.
Also, one thing a lot of people don't remember, Goku isn't that tall, it's just Vegeta who is really short.
Yeah, no, Goku is 5'9", because Goku. Yeah. When I realized that blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay. He's 5'9", Raditz is about 6'1". So even then, I'm still taller than Raditz.
Yeah.
Alright. Next up is Recon with, what if Cooler worked more closely with Frieza and Cold? Well, I feel like if Cooler did, and he was working closer, then Frieza's place in existence would really not be necessary. Because the whole point, in a way, was because Cooler was a failure. Cooler was a failure, so King Cold made another one. He made Frieza. So if it turns out that Cooler decides to work with them again, then, it depends. I think King Cold would ultimately just say, you know what, I can only have room for one child right now. You would have to basically say who is the better one, who is the more superior. Because I don't think he would tolerate an inferior child.
I mean, it wasn't there was a time when I think this was a thing. I was just thinking that not even that Cooler was a failure, but Cooler was more of a, how to say it, Frieza is the emperor type. Cooler is more of the squad leader type.
Okay.
I feel that their position was more like Cooler was strictly military leader, but Frieza was more political leader.
Maybe.
Question mark? Yeah.
Different sense of perspective, you could say. Okay, that seems fair. Harvey Duba. Hey, hope you're having an awesome day as always. Well, thank you, Harvey. Here's what ifs. What if Goku never came back for the tournament during the Buu saga? Well, I feel like he would still come back, but I think he would come back later, like once it had become clear that Majin Vegeta was around. But it would depend on, like, okay, who would be the other person to go down with Gohan and Vegeta? Like, fight Pui Pui Yakon and stuff like that. Probably Piccolo.
Piccolo, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be Piccolo. So basically, you'd have that, and I feel like there'd be all this conflict and stuff, and then you get Majin Vegeta, and then you get, like...
Or, listen, or if Piccolo was turned to stone, at that time, Piccolo and Krillin, maybe they could convince 18 to go there.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Because technically, she would be pretty strong at this point, like...
She'd definitely be able to take out Pui Pui with no trouble
Yeah,
at all.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And then Vegeta would have just discovered the energy technique against Yakon. But you'd still have the whole tussle with Majin Vegeta, and then Goku would be a race against time to try and get him down to the planet. He'd probably still knock around a little longer because of energy not being around.
Yep.
And that stuff. Yeah. Columns next. What if Raditz came earlier, like during or before the 5-year time skip? I'm just going to play the sound. Yeah, in short, if he came like earlier, during, or before the 5-year time skip, Goku would have no answer to him, and Piccolo's not going to help him. Piccolo's not going to help Goku at all. So basically, I think ultimately Goku would just have to go. Goku would just have to go with him to try and save the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then ultimately Gohan would be the one, who say, one day I'm going to avenge my father, I will go into space, and I will kill the person who took my father away. And stuff like that. Alright, Grant Emil's next. Hello there. What if Blonde Launch found Goku instead of Bulma? Well, I get the feeling that throughout all of her time, she didn't really have much of a problem with kids, as it were. So she ain't got a problem with children. So basically, she would just she'd think that Goku was like, 7, even though he's actually 12 when they first meet. So basically, I'd imagine she probably would be like stuck with this guy. And if she was looking for the Dragon Balls as well, and he had one, she probably would compromise and say, you can come with me too, but act as a bodyguard and stuff like that. Hey, this kid's pretty useful to have around. That kind of stuff. But I think ultimately it would just be a much more difficult dynamic in a way. And also, she wouldn't be as clever as Bulma.
Yeah, she's on, and remember, she's like only a year younger than Bulma.
Yeah, so she's like 15.
Older.
She's, okay, 17.
17, yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Kiara Torian, what if Dr. Gero created the heart virus? Well, I imagine that if Dr. Gero created the heart virus, which be if Toriyama came to us tomorrow and said that Gero was the one that created the heart virus, Goku didn't get it in space, and it was made specifically to target Goku, that would be a twist I would welcome. I would say, you know what, that's not a bad twist.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That does make sense, absolutely. So if Gero did, I would say that's a very good twist. Like, yes, he may not be able to beat Goku in terms of power, but in terms of physiology, he could hoodwink the Saiyan.
That would just show how many backup plans he had. Well, the virus won't work, I have the androids. The androids won't work, I have Cell.
Exactly. He's got like plan A, B, C, and if the Cell doesn't work, I have the trucker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Paparacha asks, what if Gero turned good? Well, if Gero turned good, that is actually quite easy. And that's based on what Toriyama has said in the past. And that is basically he would use his intellect to better humankind. Further human evolution through technology. So he would be a very big advocate in terms of technological enhancements. That kind of stuff. So kind of like legitimizing his android research. as it were.
But he would like do, you know, more medical stuff with this, going to prosthetic instead of forcing people into it. Probably adopting children instead of kidnapping them, you know, that
yes,
kind
he
of
would
stuff.
get children a lot more legitimately, as it were. Or subjects, as it, in general.
Yeah.
Buster for Jones, what if Piccolo actually uses Gohan to take over the world? Well, you can check out my video, What If DragonBallZ Never Happened, and you will get your answer there, good sir. And I also appreciate the name, because I'm a very big Cats fan. Absolutely. So,
Let's get down to business to confront, to control the world.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm ready.
Shut up, you nerd.
There you go. Chrome Bison. Had Goku not returned in the Buu saga, would Gohan be Vegeta's rival surrogate in place of Goku? I feel like if Gohan, I think Vegeta would have liked Gohan to be like that, but Gohan didn't go down that path. Because
Gohan would be a surrogate son for Vegeta.
Yeah, sort of.
Scenario.
Like, maybe Vegeta...
Maybe nephew, more like nephew.
Yeah, maybe
but
Vegeta would be a bit more insistent that he train, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically he'd come over to Chi-Chi's place, so,
Can Gohan come out to train?
like, can Gohan come out to play? That kind of stuff. Yeah. Kenshin491. What if MasakoX's attacks could only be done via puns? What if Gohan's attack ended Raditz? Okay. So basically, if Gohan's attack was enough to take out Raditz, then Goku would still be alive, but then he wouldn't have learnt the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb. And that would have had ramifications later. Short-term gains, medium-term losses. And as for my attacks, they could only be done via puns. Yeah, basically, it would mean that my foes are beaten to the punch. There you go. Haverok submitted already. There you go. But you see, that absolutely works. They grow not in pain, but in agony throughout the puns. It's great. It's totally indirect, and it's totally monetizable. Mr. Capex, what if Goten and Trunks weren't bland characters? Well, basically, what we're trying to do with them in R&R, as in we're trying to like kind of exacerbate what personalities they do have, and kind of just give them something to work with. But their personalities were quite obvious in the Buu saga. You kind of go, oh, okay, Goten's a sweet young innocent boy. He's a bit less dorky than Gohan is, but, has a good side. And Trunks is the cocky meathead. They did have personalities.
Also, even in Super, like, even though, like, they are overused, like, in Yosun Goku and Super, like, the things about Goten that I kind of like, and people pretty often overlook, is that, Goten is one of the characters to call Goku out if he acts, like, Goten is very down-to-the-earth kind of person, like, he's more like, he's a pretty... I would say he's nice, but he's pretty grounded,
Yes. No, I'd say that's totally correct. I would say. Darren Hardy unfortunately has to miss again during to work. But does Goku know that shepherd's pie was originally a winter's dessert in the UK using leftover meat and vegetables, including horses? I did not, but this sounds delicious. I must go to this England place. But yeah, no,
it's a pretty nice place. I recommend.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and it's definitely very nice. It's been very rainy today here, though. Well, there you go. So yeah, I think anything with meat in it, because anything that can mean that Goku can eat his horse, that's the main thing in his life. Brother Roga, what if Champa got his wish and Universe 7 got transferred? Get a planet full of tasty food and gain a huge amount of fighters for the TOP. Well, if that did happen, then I imagine the mortal level of Universe 6 would rise, like, dramatically. Like, maybe not to the point of exemption, but they would definitely be probably in the top half. Like, maybe 6th or 7th or something like that. And then Universe 7, oh my goodness, they'd probably be the lowest.
Like, when you think about it, the weird thing for me is that in Universe 11, like, I know why it is narratively, but plot-wise, why Universe 11 is not exempted? Why why they're pretty high but still too low. That's weird for me.
I imagine that it was quite a close call.
Yeah.
I imagine because it's like, maybe the fact is though, is that without the Pride Troopers, they would be considerably lower.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
like,
why.
It is just said that, that Belmont is doing his work quite good. Like, he has a very good reputation.
But I feel like, I think it's the whole, too many eggs in one basket syndrome.
Maybe.
So I think it's got something to do with that. Seat and Tubes next. What if Cooler was given the title as Emperor instead of Frieza? Well, okay, we've said this a few times before, but basically, if Cooler were the Emperor instead of Frieza, he probably would rule it just the same way that King Cold did. Recognizing what's useful to his empire, separating the wheat from the chaff, basically just having a good understanding about what he can use. He'd just basically be a younger version of King Cold.
Yeah, but one thing he would be like, King Cold loves all, loves the theatrics, loves the,
more
politeness.
methodical.
Cooler would be pretty open.
Yeah,
okay, man, kids, here's the deal. You serve me, you're fine. You go against me, this. He would be very,
you go against me, you're not fine.
To the point. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he'd be a lot more blunt. So King Vegeta was saying, well, he's just as fair as his father, but he's nowhere near as entertaining. So there you go. So yeah, probably like that. Yeah, basically. Say, is that your weakest fighter over there? Yes, I'ma kill it. I still love that line.
Yeah.
Nick Wolf. What if Kid Goku and Bulma took his Stork Egg to Capsule Corp after the Pilaf saga? Maybe Bulma developed nanites so Goku access higher brain functions whilst in Rosaru. Ah, yes, this is coming back from what we were talking about last week. Basically, we thought that Goku's Saiyan pod he could have mistaken for a Stork's egg. Like, he was delivered by a stork and stuff like that.
Space Stork.
It's a space stork. Yeah, so basically, that's what we were talking about last week. So if you want to check that out, do look at the archive. But basically, if that were the case, they would probably Bulma would have realized quickly this ain't no egg. This is like space age technology. So I'd imagine probably that there probably would be some kind of like data banks inside this, because this is a different kind of Saiyan pod. This is meant to like have the projection of a moon. Maybe some kind of information for, like, training a baby to become Ozaru.
Saiyan 101.
Exactly.
Aha, so you are a Saiyan.
No, it's basically Space Captain America saying, so, you decided to land on a planet, did you? Become a Saiyan. That's good on you. But first, here are some things that you need to understand. That kind of stuff.
I like for some reason I imagined Paragus doing this. Young Paragus.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. No, that's true. That'd be an ironic twist. Tempest Mars 1000. Hey gang, Sophie, thanks again for helping me out over the week. 2 donations this time. Oh, well, unfortunately Sophie couldn't be here this week, but we'll be sure to pass the message on to her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, next up is, well, so basically he says, first, what if 17 still had Super 17's parts in Impost GT? Well, so basically, if he did, then that would be an automatic power boost, basically. Yeah. But basically, if he had 17's thing, he'd just be an even more efficient Park Ranger. Yeah. Absolutely. And Tempest's other one would say, what would you all think if Sunto and Ranch would get along? Sunto.
I have no memory of that name.
Suno. No, it's typo. There we go. It was Suno.
I mean, we don't want to spoil anything.
We don't want to spoil anything, but we do have something planned.
Yeah.
We do have something planned for a future episode of R&R. Oh, that's their OC that they were with Sophie. Oh, sorry about that. Well, again, we'll pass that on to Sophie, and we'll get her to talk about that the next time she's on.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but thanks, So Tempest. Podo asks, what if the Galactic Patrol adopted and raised Kakarot? I can imagine, Jarko bigging himself up to try and be the cool dad. Say, well, gather around, young Saiyan, for it is I, your adopted father, to tell you exactly how awesome I am. And Kakarot would believe it. Totally.
You know what? I can actually imagine Mirus becoming his adopted father.
I think, yeah, Jarko would at first, but then Mirus would be just like thinking, you're absolutely no good at this.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. And for his love with mortals, I feel like Mirus would actually be a very interesting father.
Yeah.
I feel like, and Jarko would be the crazy uncle. Don't forget who found you. Don't forget who found you. It was me, Jarko, Super Elite. That kind of stuff. Red Dragon Force 2 asks behalf of AF, what if Krillin becomes the world champ over Mark? Well, that'd be Mr. Satan's career all over and done with. But I feel like Krillin would probably, knowing him, he would have the sunglasses on, he'd act like the big shot, saying, all right, everyone, stand back. So but everyone goes like, hey, where's Krillin? Didn't he say that they meet up? He comes in a limo. Sorry about that, guys. I decided to take the slow route here. Gotta take more time for my fans, you know.
I'm gonna invite you to Krillin City.
It's like, when all is said and done, I'm gonna take you for some really good food down at Krillin City. They named it after me, don't you know? Oh, really? I wouldn't have guessed. So that kind of stuff. Yeah, we know that Krillin can become big-headed sometimes.
Yeah, but that would be an interesting chestnut.
Red Dragon says that could be a candidate for the what if. So basically, during the downtime, the Cell games, Krillin decides to take part in the tournament anyway, thinking, well, nobody's actually taking part. I mean, it'd be funny, but I don't think it would really go anywhere. It's a funny idea though. It's certainly funny. Brendan Little, building from today's video. What if it's Shin that actually steps up and seals away Moro like the Grand Supreme Kai? Well, that would be probably one of the biggest redemption arcs he could possibly do.
Yeah.
He actually takes responsibility. The Grand Supreme Kai basically say, well, he basically managed to do something that I couldn't do before. And that kind of stuff. So yeah, it would be the ultimate redemption arc. I feel like that would be a very surprise move. Like, as much of a surprise as Shin actually being really useful in Heroes. Surprisingly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Molly Shadows. What if Krillin and Goku were raised by Grandpa Gohan? Well, basically, yeah, okay. Haverok is just going to go off to walk his doggo, so he'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. But I could take the fort now. But basically, okay. Sorry, I forgot Molly, so we'll go to yours and then we'll go back. What if Krillin and Goku were raised by Grandpa Gohan? Well, I feel like Krillin would be a lot less jealous, maybe somewhat jealous, but that would be easily tempered by Grandpa Gohan's easygoing nature. He wouldn't have had that, like, desire to fit in, and as it were, basically, that he got at the Monk Temple. So the potential would be there, but he'd be kind of on a similar plane as Goku. So that kind of, like, joint connection could be really interesting, certainly. Super Spork, what if you could train in the fusion dance? As in, make the time limit better. The idea being if you can shorten it, you can lengthen it. Probably if some way that you were able to find a way to reverse engineer it. Like, say, if you powered down, like, reduced your energy output. So let's say, for example, they fused and they had a little bit of overrun in terms of power. They could scale back the energy to increase time, or to stall it, or stop the clock, as it were. That could be really cool, though, but it would add a lot of mechanics to it, and I can imagine it'd be really cool to see in a video game, certainly. To have that mechanic, like, say, for example, you use it during Budokai 3, and you have a time limit, and you can pause the time limit at some points, but then sometimes it could go, like, even quicker if you use more power. So that could be an interesting little mechanic. I like that, Spork. Podo, what if the Z Fighters were Ishizoku reviewers? Oh, man. Oh, well, basically, they'd be doing the same thing, but they would basically be fight sexual. As in, like, you know, Goku would rate, like, Cell's fight with him as, like, a 7 out of 10. Like,
You know what? It was kind of a good challenge and all, but I felt like he wasn't being enough roughhouse with me. You know, getting in all close and personal. Things didn't get really steamy, and everything's really tense. And ultimately, I wasn't the one to finish. So, you know, kind of like I finished too early. So, you know, kind of like that kind of thing.
So they would just basically review things as if that, you know, they were fights, but instead of the things you would normally expect from that anime. Red Dragon Force 2 asks for thoughts about Carthu's video on Gohan. Unfortunately, I haven't had the time to see it today, Red Dragon, but I will make sure to do so tomorrow because I'll have a little bit more time to be able to catch up with various things. But thank you very much for pointing it out. Alright, Paparazzi is next. An April Fool's what if all the Earthlings were turned into Saiyans? Now, that is a possibility, as it were, for that to be the case. But I also reckon that I don't think it's realistically possible. But okay, because as you said, it's an April Fool's. We'll go along with it. If they were all Earthlings, it would basically be the reincarnation of Planet Vegeta. And it also really depends on when in the story you have that happen. And who is the one to make the wish. So, maybe that it could easily happen, like Vegeta makes the wish on it to try and easily bring back Planet Vegeta. And he could be basically the ones that, you know, say,
Hello there, I am a Saiyan. I am your ruler. You shall worship me. Got it?
Good. That could be just like a that would be like a quick get king quick scheme that the prince would easily do. All right, next up is Paparazzi again with what if King Piccolo? Oh, sorry, I lost that there. What if King Piccolo failed in reincarnating and Kami Yamcha'd with King Piccolo with Junior being a separate being? So basically, if King Piccolo failed to reincarnate and basically Piccolo Jr. was like a separate being, well, if Piccolo Jr. was that but didn't have the same memories of King Piccolo, the whole resentment and stuff like that would be a very, that wouldn't be there. So I feel like it would be some kind of way that Piccolo would have to, like, it would very much depend on how he was raised. So I imagine that a lot of people would be very touch and go about what he might do. Also for the fact that there's no Kami. So basically, like, Piccolo would be around. They wouldn't have Dragon Balls for a while. And unfortunately, Piccolo is, you know, still a Warrior Clan member, so we wouldn't have Dragon Balls. So I'm just going to play the sound for the sake of it. Alright, Kenshin491 is next. What if the Saiyans and hybrids only partly turned into a Zaru proportionally on the moon's phases? So basically, they only turned into, like... So basically, almost like the Wrathful mode of what Broly has. So the Wrathful form, in terms of, like, you know, that they have the tails, they have the wild persona, they have a power increase, but their mass doesn't really change. So I imagine probably their speed would be way high, because as an Ozaru, their speed is remarkably fast for their size. So I imagine they'd be speed demons, but also they probably might have slightly more control than an ape, but not very much. So I imagine it'd probably be like almost like a kind of, yeah, a different thing. But at the same time, it would remind us of Dragon Ball Evolution, and I don't think any of us want to be reminded of Dragon Ball Evolution now, do we? Paparazzi says, YouTube won't let me use any version of Not Alive. Yeah, unfortunately, I had to actually restrict that word, mainly because if I kept it, it would mean that videos get demonetized, because sometimes in the comments that can happen. So I had to, because you might have noticed in my videos, I have to eschew using the word die or kill and stuff like that. So I have to use wasted, oft, game ended, that kind of stuff, just to kind of like circumvent that restriction. I know, it's really silly. Like, it's really daft. I really wish it weren't the case. It kind of takes away some of the impact when it comes to certain dramatic readings. Okay, next is Mortune Zurix. What if Universe 7 has their own version of Caulifla still surviving? Universe 7's last female Saiyan. Oh yeah, Vegeta-san, you can say defeated as well. I mean, that would be very interesting to have, like, a female Saiyan, but I feel like at the same time now, it's no longer necessary. Unless there was a way that, say, for example, there was a female Saiyan who decided to, like, lay low. Yeah, just to try and, like, ensure, yeah, that the Saiyans survived somewhat. It depends. Depends on what kind of Saiyan they were. Were they a Gine? Were they a Fasha? And a Seripa? It really depends on their personality. But if it was a Caulifla, then it'd probably be very interesting in the sense of, like, you know, she would, and ultimately probably bump into Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz, you know, because, you know, they find a Saiyan and stuff like that. That could certainly be something, a bit of a twist. Okay, next one is Nighthawk87. What if Videl never found out Gohan is the Great Saiyaman? Well, I still feel like that whole Golden Warrior thing is still something that she can dangle over him. That whole Golden Warrior, like, maybe, like, Gohan's constantly worried, and he remains worried that he's going to be rumbled for that power, but ultimately, you know, yeah, it's just that curiosity. So the bedrock of the relationship that Videl and Gohan have would be very different to what it was in the original, certainly. Hannah Rowan, what if after Goten's birth, Chi-Chi succumbs to the illness that took her mother? Oh, that would be very tragic. But basically, you'd have the Ox King looking after, like, Gohan and Goten. So you'd just have that moment where, you know, Gohan, I think, would be able to take care of the household, as it were. But I also feel like that would be a very tragic thing, like, an ironic stuff. And as it's down to natural causes, like, you know, Goku is up in heaven and, you know, training, and then finds Chi-Chi and say, oh, why don't you wish him back for the DragonBallZ? And, you know, can't because, you know, natural causes. I feel like she would keep her body, though, because, you know, the wife of Goku. I'm pretty sure that they will be able to make that happen, certainly. Heartless Fang, what if the Saiyans were reincarnated as employees of Capsule Corp? Well, it would probably make sense, really, because they would want to take orders from a very strong woman, as in Bulma. But it would probably be, they'd be probably doing a lot of grunt work, you know. But then again, there were a lot of Saiyan engineers, as we know from the Broly movie. So, you know, just because, you know, you're a Saiyan doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bonehead. So, there you go. So I would say that probably be something that could happen. Maybe some of the best engineers from Planet Vegeta end up working at Capsule Corp. That's got to be a pretty decent living, surely. Gorilla Geek 27. What if Pan and Bulla became a couple in a future Dragon Ball series? I could see that happening. I could see that being really cute. In the sense that, you know, they're kind of like almost like a Caulifla and Kale type of thing. Like, you know, they kind of work together so closely, they're kind of in sync. I could see that happening in a way. It'd be really cute. And, you know, obviously you gotta obviously handle it very well and with respect and all that kind of stuff. So you gotta be very careful how you do it. But the idea in of itself is an interesting one. So I will probably, you know, we'll probably keep that as a note almost. Jesse Goff asks, what if Nappa offed Piccolo and Gohan? Basically, if they were able to do that, then I feel that, well, there is no well, he did off Piccolo already, so there aren't any Dragon Balls. But I feel like if Nappa took out Gohan as well, then I feel like there would be I think that would ultimately boost Goku's power even more, and I feel like there would be no second chances. Like, ultimately, I feel that Goku would just waste Nappa instantly and not give Vegeta the satisfaction of doing that himself. Certainly not. Like, he's past that at this stage. Pizza15X. What if Pan went Super Saiyan? Which probably will happen now, because we've seen Pan, and she can breathe in space, or at least in the outer realms, you know, of the atmosphere, and, you know, throw around the Pilaf gang like they're nothing, and she's a baby. So her power level's got to be in the several tens of thousands already. If she did go Super Saiyan, I feel like, you know, I feel like Videl and Gohan would be very proud, and they would be very accepting of it, because Videl gets Gohan's power. She gets him and understands it. And I feel like Gohan would be very proud of Pan as well. So I feel like Gohan would be just like, you know, Pan, do whatever makes you happy. And if she has that innate potential already, and the fact that she's a quarter Saiyan, that'd be something very remarkable to try and like research and like keep an eye on for Gohan, certainly. But I feel like Pan would have a very relaxed life, certainly. Grant Emil is next. What would they do if Videl wasn't pregnant? Would Whis just boop Nappa and Raditz back to life, or go grab a Universe 6 one? I feel like this could easily be like the start and an introduction of a Universe 6 Saiyan. So I could imagine them introducing Kaba and Renso or something like that. So some Universe 6 Saiyans being grabbed over, and then Whis is just like, oh yes, by the way, there are Saiyans, and there are from other universes and stuff like that. I had to go over there because they have Saiyans as well. And everyone's just like, wait, what? Well, that's a question for later. And they basically don't get to hear anymore, and they're left with all this mystery. But ultimately, that gets pushed to the wayside because then Goku goes Super Saiyan God. But also, this reveals the whole power of Super Saiyan to, like, Kaba much earlier. So I feel like maybe he'd have more power against Vegeta in the Universe 6 tournament. That kind of stuff. You know, Kaba would be even more enthusiastic to fight Vegeta, certainly. Red Dragon Force 2 asks, what if Super Saiyan God ritual worked the same way for Super SHG? What's that? Can someone go, Red Dragon, can you elaborate what SHG is? Not quite sure. Yeah, I just want to make sure that I get that correct, as it were. Sometimes I don't go into it. I don't go into the question. Oh, superhuman god. Okay, superhuman god. Right. Okay, cool. Thanks, buddy. Just I just wanted to make sure and clarify. Just make that clear. Work for superhuman god. Well, yeah, I think it would, because God Ki is not just intrinsic to it's not intrinsic to Saiyans. Anyone can get God Ki. Any kind of being can. So I think in a way, I feel like I don't think they would probably be able to use both rituals, Gohan, Goten, Trunks, but I think the end result will be similar. Because as we know now for Super Dragon Ball Heroes, yeah, Trunks can go Super Saiyan God. So long as you've got a bit of Saiyan in you, you can become a Super Saiyan God. Dalen64, we have in What If Bulma trained if 16 joins the Z Fighter side before the Cell Games, could they integrate him into the suit, giving Bulma an infinite engine as well as uploading 16's mind so he can be like Jarvis from the MCU? They could probably do so. Like maybe Bulma could like find some way to be able to download 16 and stuff like that. Yeah, and if he does join their side at all. But probably I think Bulma would obviously anticipate having a backup, certainly. Yeah, no, Dalen, that's a really good question. Yeah, Haverok, I see you're back.
Yeah.
But basically, Dalen was mentioning that, you know, what if Bulma, 16 join the Z Fighters, they find a way to basically make him the Jarvis of her suit.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be very cool, absolutely. Protoss is next. What if Goku left Earth with his brother? Well, you can basically get an idea about what we do in What If Goku Defeated Roshi, that series of videos. That is what happens in there. But I feel like if he ever did, it would be basically just for the sake of saving the planet, ultimately. Devon's next. What if Android 16 destroyed Imperfect Cell? Well, if he did, then that would be it, really. And I feel like there would be a final fight between 16 and Goku. But they would wait for Goku, and 16 and Goku would fight. I feel like Goku would win. But I feel like 16 would give him a good fight, and I think that and Goku would spare 16.
Yeah, and the androids will like resign from getting after.
Yeah, they basically just go like, we're just gonna go off and do our own thing. We won't cause any trouble. We just want to have a bit of freedom for once. That kind of stuff. So they just go off and do their own thing. Hannah Rowan, what if GT and Super had a crossover? Well, that basically is Super Dragon Ball Heroes, isn't it?
Also, our What If Raditz GT edition.
Exactly. So if you go and check that out, you can get a very good idea how we're able to, like, blend the two series together, as it were. JRC, what if Majin Buu gained the ability to use God Ki after absorbing the Supreme Kais? You know what? That's a good question. Basically, if if Majin Buu did, then basically that would make him even more powerful. But the question is, though, would he actually really be able to use it properly?
I mean, do we know if he's already doesn't doing this? It could be not like the stuff Majin Buu does, with getting to the time chamber, breaking the dimensions. It's some really, really powerful stuff. And we don't really know, like, what's the real power of, of our good old friend Majin Buu. So he might be a godky type of creature, and we don't even know it.
True. That could be like a way he's been able to like kind of like acquire the power, and also then be able to use it for his own right. Like it's been adapted almost. That could be true. Jesse Goff, what if there could be only one Super Saiyan at any time? Well, to be fair, in most battles, you tend to only have one-on-ones. You rarely have in the main series multiple Super Saiyans fighting at the same time. But it would certainly make training very difficult. Like, in the time chamber, Goku and Gohan and Vegeta and Trunks, one of them would have to not be Super Saiyan. So that would probably have a very serious impact on, training. Certainly. Killian Buckley's next. What if after Frieza's first revival, he ends up becoming firm friends with Bulma because of how unselfish their wishes are, to Vegeta's shock and confusion? Okay. So basically, maybe it's because relatable in a way, because the whole 5 centimeters or 5 years younger and stuff like that.
Petty wishes baddies.
Basically, you know what? We're not so different, you and I. That kind of stuff.
I mean, can you imagine like Frieza still being evil and still hating Vegeta, but like having a regular, coffee meetings with Bulma and talking about Vegeta?
Oh, basically, they're having a glass of wine, and then Vegeta walks in and goes, but no, Frieza walks in and says, "Hello, buddy. How's it going? How's that Trunks been doing with his homework?" Vegeta. That kind of stuff. Having a bit of a social. Wow, Frieza, you're just in time. I got this vintage wine from just a while ago. Vintage 750. The year I met Goku. Oh, isn't that delightful? I'd love to have a bit of a chinwag with you a little bit, but first I just need to take care of your husband. Just give me about 10 minutes or so. A bit of still. Wait, make it 5. It won't take long. That kind of stuff. Just the dialogue just comes by really easily for that one.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Red Dragon Force 2. What if 17 joined the Buu Saga tournament? Impress his girlfriend, perhaps? Okay, so basically if 17 was during the 25th World Martial Arts Tournament, it'd be interesting to see them fight, have 17 and 18 actually fight against each other. That'd be
That would be the finale, yeah.
Yeah, that would be the final, and then the grand final would be 18. And she would still win and get the prize money and stuff like that. Well, no, she would lose and get the prize money and stuff like that. But I feel like that would give a really cool bit of fan service for having, 17 and 18 fight each other and actually answer a question of like, who is the strongest android? It would answer a lot of questions, and I feel like that people would like that. People would like that considerably, I would say. Okay. Mortune Zurix. What if Jiro found Boo's egg to make Cell? Well, unfortunately, due to the fact of how much energy it requires to make it, to open the egg, I feel like Jiro would try and try and try, and no matter what he would try and do, he would never be able to open it. So I feel like he would just toss it in some kind of tin where failed experiments were.
I mean, if he attached multiple infinity engines to it,
it would take a very long time. So basically, he would have Boo cooking along. He would have Boo cooking along at the same time as Cell.
Probably with Boo's DNA.
Maybe, so if he can find some way to extract the DNA from the egg.
I mean, we have Android 21 with the whole magic thing.
Yeah. Okay. Gorilla Geek 27. What if Goku and Vegeta started a podcast? Well, I don't imagine it going very well, especially when you see the old fan image of them playing Super Nintendo.
Yeah, Saiyan cast. They would talk about like it would be a GodTube podcast, and they would talk about strongest guys, and they would have guests like Hit, G-Red,
Yeah. And talking of which, Haverok and I eventually we plan to start our own podcast.
Yep.
We want to call it Up on the Lookout, and basically 'cause we're looking down on the fandom with each episode. So we'll have that out relatively soon.
Yeah.
Killian Buckley, what if Cooler found Earth during the time skip after Dragon Ball? I feel like if he found Earth, he probably wouldn't do anything there immediately because at that time, Earth is considered a bit of a dump. So I feel like he would probably keep an eye on it, but he wouldn't do anything immediately. But he would be very he'd be very receptive of the idea. So basically, if something went down on Earth, he'd be the first to know. Try and scoop it from under Frieza's grasp.
Yeah.
Certainly. All right. Next one is Hannah Rowan. What if Tien had a daughter, Budi, the same age as Goten and Trunks? Well, that'd be a very interesting thing to see how having a child would actually change Ten Shinhan's outlook on life. Would he be able to mellow out? Would he be able to even give her the time of day? Or basically, would you have Launch basically being a de facto mother for her? That'd be a good way for Launch to be basically say, hey, well, you need someone to take care of your kid. I can stay here. Good excuse for her.
I think Tien would start out like a helicopter papa.
You start initially, but then
Yeah, I could see him like this.
Yeah, okay, that's very true. Only Lord Mickey? What if not one single Saiyan ever went to Earth? Well, basically, it would, as we said earlier on for some other scenarios, the Dragon Ball would end with the Android saga. And Cell would...
No, because Goku also includes into this, so no Dragon Ball.
Oh, no single Saiyan ever. Oh, well, I'm guessing that maybe Bulma might have found the Dragon Balls.
King Piccolo would take over, probably.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. And then basically, yeah, King Piccolo would basically be the ruler of the planet. So yeah. I'll play the sound. Podo's next.
The end.
Podo going basically to an earlier Jiro was this.
Ah yes, all according to Keikaku. Translation: Keikaku means plan.
That kind of stuff. Hannah Rowan, what if Baby was in Super? I feel if Baby was in Super, probably would actually be handled very well. I could see that being a pretty decent arc, almost. If you had the foreshadowing and stuff like that, and with Toriyama's much more direct input, I feel that arc could actually be pretty good.
It would be pulled off better than Goku Black arc in the anime, I feel.
Yeah, I would say so.
It's easier to pull off.
Much more so. Less time travel. As long as you take time travel out of it, it's actually a pretty good arc. I'm watching stuff says, what if Piccolo Jr. was never born? Senior just dies. Well, basically, I'd imagine probably you would have that situation. Well, Kami's no longer there. So Kami dies. You'd have no Dragon Balls. And I feel like that would actually be a very good end to end Dragon Ball totally. That's a good way of ending it, because the Dragon Balls don't exist anymore. Goku's now on his own as the strongest fighter on the planet. And, yeah, he's won the tournament. And it's just a nice little, he gets the girl, it all ends up quite nicely, that kind of stuff. So I feel like if Piccolo Jr. and it was never around, I feel like that Toriyama could have easily ended the manga there and there. Probably. It would have been a good natural jumping off point. Paparacha. April Fool's What If suggestion. What if Chaozu was an eldritch abomination? Ooh.
We got that. Yeah, we got that earlier. That sneaky Orgalork reference here.
Oh.
Well, something would have to, set him up. But imagine a saga when suddenly the Eldritch Abomination from Chaozu freeze and Tien needs to find the Chaozu part of Chaozu that helped to seal it. and they find the Earthling side in him, and he managed to seal the evil inside of him. Funny you mentioned that, because we were thinking about what's a Chaozu, and there is going to be a video about what we found.
The truth about Chaozu coming up next week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Gorilla Geek, what if Grandpa Gohan and Baba were an item when they were younger? Oh, that would make things very awkward between Roshi and Gohan. It's like, you better not mess around with my sister. That kind of stuff like that. Say, believe me, I know what messing about looks like, so I'll be able to tell it from a mile off. It's like, I feel like there would be a lot of jibes, certainly. But I feel like Grandpa Gohan and Baba would actually be a good couple. You know, fighting and then mystical arts. That could be interesting. Paparacha, what if Goten had his GT dub personality? Oh no.
Oh no.
No, please no. Okay, let's just say for the sake of the argument, basically, we have no idea about Goten's original personality. So we had the GT one from the get-go, and we had no idea that the original one existed. Basically, if he turned out to be a total jerk, and basically, Gohan's trying to be the good elder brother, that kind of stuff, and all that jazz, and Goten's just still a jerk, I would really feel sorry for Chi-Chi and Gohan at that point. There's just there's no redemption with that character. It would be awful. It'd just be really dire. Blake James is next. Morning all. Well, good morning to you too, Blake. What if Piccolo forced Gohan to shirk the Ultra Divine Water drink the Ultra Divine Water before the Saiyans? Early potential unlock. I feel like it would certainly be a boost to mean that Gohan could hold his own better against Nappa. But I feel like it wouldn't be enough to do anything significant. But it would mean that Gohan wouldn't be as one-sided if Piccolo... Basically, if Nappa was going up against Piccolo, Gohan could at least try and defend. Like, buy some time. Would you say?
Yeah. I think so as well. Like, exactly what I was thinking, basically.
Okay. All right. Sorry about this. Just gotta check some things. Sorry, something just came in. Let's get that sorted out. Ah, there we go. Dark Cloud Alpha. What if Goku was always serious and focused? Well, that's what we get when we come to the Superman Goku from the dub, pretty much.
Yeah. He would be much more boring character.
Yes, exactly. He'd be pretty much a facsimile of what he is in the first arc of Dragon Ball, really. Combin Spark. What if Videl or all the humans got their potential unlocked by the Elder Kai? Between the Buu arc of the tournament between 6 and 7. I could see that Videl could have her potential unlocked. I feel like she would do it.
Yeah.
She would do it. The power probably wouldn't be like astronomical, but it would certainly make her catch up towards like Yamcha and stuff like that. So I think she could catch up potentially. And if Gohan and Videl are training together, I feel like they could really make some serious gains. Like Videl especially. And as Videl got stronger,
easily stronger than Roshi or Krillin in my opinion.
In no time, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I think she's probably actually slightly stronger than them already.
Yeah.
I feel like yeah, with Gohan and like that training, I feel like she could be really, really strong. Like very strong. Like in Resurrection F time, she would be handy.
Yep. If she trained, yeah.
Yeah, if she actually did train. Again, this is a future what if we do want to do. I mean, honestly, that could be a really good April Fool what if. We'll have to talk.
No,
we'll have to...
she deserves. Come on, she deserves a proper series, not an April Fool's one.
I think it's the April Fool what if is it just means that we actually have more freedom. That's the whole caveat with it. But anyway, yeah. Well, questions for later. Gorilla Geek 27. What if Gohan and Ginyu had a pose off? I would love to see this. I would have loved to have seen this happen. I mean, the closest thing we're probably going to get now is Toppo meeting Gohan.
Yeah.
That we will get, and I feel like that this needs to happen. you know, Gohan being the champion of justice. It's inevitable. It's just so right.
And older Gohan would start to have like spruce mustache, as you know, as a tribute to Topo, which would be kind of funny because he would have a mustache just like those of Grandpa Gohan.
Yeah, I feel that'd be a nice little callback, certainly. For his namesake, almost. Kiara Torian, what if the Z Fighters always train together? Well, basically, you get what I do with the Breakfast Club of Combat. I feel like that they would ultimately end up being very much in sync with each other. Like, they would be able to play off each other and be able to have some kind of, synchronicity. So I feel like their powers, they would be a formidable power when they're combined together, certainly. Dark Cloud Alpha, what if Goku and Bulma stumbled on the Namek ship during Dragon Ball, and Bulma repairs it to go on a space adventure to its planet of origin? Well, the whole revolution about Namekian Dragon Balls would appear instantly, and then the whole revolution... there would be not really much that call of the Namekians to help them, unless it was just because they were just wandering travelers, as it were. They would have to convince the Guru and that lot to help them, or at least they'd have to have a reason to use the Dragon Balls instead of, oh, we just want to come here because we're curious. Would you say? Have?
Sorry, I was taking asthma meds. Could you quickly repeat the question? Sorry.
Well, basically, it's if what if Goku and Bulma stumbled on the Namek ship during Dragon Ball?
I mean, Bulma would take it to Dr. Briefs, and we would probably, like, instead of Red Ribbon Army Saga, I think that would be the moment when they would try to go and have adventures in space. I feel.
They pretty much just continue
after the tournament. Yeah, after the tournament.
Recon then says, what if Slug spit out an egg before he bit the big one? Well, pretty much you'd have some kind of thing that, essentially, Piccolo was the one to find it. He'd be just like saying, hey, I'm your dad. Sub. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, Piccolo would probably raise Slug Jr.
Yeah, exactly, and just like try and like make him like pure and stuff like that.
You know what? I actually like this one. It's interesting.
Let's make a note of it.
Yeah.
Alright, Red Dragon Force 2, on behalf of Andres Morero. What if Metal Buno Purified merged with Haze, Rage, and Oceanus Shenron with a bit of Kai? The ultimate DB tank. This feels weird. What? I think this means various different Eternal Dragons, maybe?
Yeah.
I think so. Well, that'd be a certainly different way of being able to merge them together. It would actually be a much more better way to utilize them, for once. Certainly. Anything to do with the Shadow Dragons and being used better, that's A-OK in my book.
Yep.
Certainly. Alfred F. Jones. What if Vegeta turns Super Saiyan First Part 4? Yeah, I've really not had that many good ideas with this one, and I know that this has been the one that everyone's been waiting for the longest time, but it's just, I don't want to half-arse it. I really don't. I want to be sure that this is something that is to the best of its abilities, and not just something I cranked out just for the sake of it. So, I'm afraid you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, Alfred. Sassy Cat. What if the Z Fighters trained on Yardrat like Vegeta? Well, we sort of covered this in our What If Android 16 and Broly Met? That one. So if Broly was in the Android saga. So we saw Yamcha, Krillin, and Ten Shinhan take part. And they did really well. Ten Shinhan actually beating Goku's record. So, I feel that...
Yeah, they could get insane gains.
Oh, especially Ten Shinhan. I think this would put Ten Shinhan right back in the game. Paparacha? In What If Bulma trained like Goku? What if Guru unlocked Bulma's potential as a technomancer and she stole Frieza's ship? Oh, this is what I have in mind. I think in any What If that Bulma has a chance to have the potential unlocked, she would basically have her brain would reach its maximum potential. So basically, she would find a way to be able to hack into Frieza's ship and steal it.
I think like not necessarily technomancy, because unlocking your potential doesn't give you new powers per se, but amplifiers what you already have, and like technomancy requires you to have like prior psionic or technological connections with machine. And like, Bulma wasn't a wizard; she was just really smart, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, it would be one of those things where you have to have like a, yeah, it's like, yeah, she'd be able to find out a way. She'd be able to like suss out any type of technology, sure, but I think technomancy, that's a little bit much. All right. Okay. Next one. Red Dragon Force 2. Augustus Abrams says on behalf of Nappa's voice.
What if I hooked up with Colonel Violet before the android showed up? Had a son before and after Goten. Yeah, I got it in.
Well, I feel like if that were the case, then I feel like if Nappa had a kid, it would just be another half Saiyan. And also, I feel like that this one would be a bit of a brute. As in, like, always a rival against Goku and stuff like that.
A little bully.
Yeah, a little bully, certainly. He'd be very tubby tubby Saiyan bully. He'd say, my dad's gonna beat up your dad. That kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff. You know, my dad's the best. My dad's a mid-class Saiyan warrior. Much better than your dad. That kind of stuff. Just add a bit of variety, almost.
But like Colonel Violet and Nappa is a very interesting pairing.
It's a very interesting one, definitely.
Yeah.
Kenshin 491. What happened in Evolution? Never saw it. Oh, you don't want to know. You really don't want to know. I was watching Lamar Wilson, and he was going around Best Buy trying to buy stuff for $50, and he saw a copy of Blu-ray of Evolution for $7, and he said, "Oh, I've not seen this movie. It looks really cool. I'll get it." And I commented, and I was like, "Oh no, oh no!" And everyone wants to go, "Who's gonna tell him?" Like, I'm gonna tell him. Don't you dare. That kind of stuff. Like, he has no idea about what he's in store for. And I was just like, oh no, don't give them the money. It was so cringe. So cringe. Oh dear. Alright, next up is Ice King 688. What if Frost was in charge of Frieza's Cold Empire instead of Frieza? I think he would use it a lot more shrewdly, in the sense of like using it to his own gains rather than, you know, total world domination. Yeah, good PR, I would say. Yeah, basically using everything, all of his nows to try and, you know, make himself look good. And have a lot of people, you know, as bystanders going, man, that Frost is great. All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he would not be, you know, first of all, he wouldn't be known as, you know, like Emperor Frost, President Frost.
Yes. Something that sounds a bit more diplomatic in his eyes.
Yeah.
Has good optics, as it were. Alright, next up. Free to Roam asks, what if Beerus was looking for its successor? Well, who's to say that Whis isn't looking for a successor? But if Beerus were, then he would have to make the ultimate call, because we don't know what happens when a God of Destruction becomes, you know, when changes positions. We don't know whether they change, you know, whether they keep
they
their
go back to being
immortality.
mortals.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know. So it depends on whether, it very much depends on that. Like, if they keep their immortality, I feel like they would just like retire to a certain planet, maybe their home world. Maybe they gain their memories back, almost.
Yeah.
Or something like that. That's like a, yeah, you kind of like lock away your memories, and then you can go back to it afterwards. Kiwi stuff. What if Frieza became friends with Goku or Namek? Well, I feel like that would be the only way that he would do that, would be to try and apologize and then find some way of being able to use Goku to his own ends. Like, sort of having a little mini Saiyan empire to himself, but basically just use him almost.
Yeah. Like, okay, I cannot beat it. I make you my minion or something. You know, like.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but it's very unlikely.
It is quite unlikely, but he would try though. Sparks Manticore. What if Vegeta's blast hadn't ended Nappa and Nappa had been turned into Android 19? Oh my god, if that wasn't enough to finish Nappa off, he would have been just like a singed being clinging to life. But if he were turned into a 19, that would be such a major twist. That would be such an epic twist. Like, you know, it would actually add some kind of conflict and, yeah, basically investment for Vegeta. But ultimately, I still feel like he would end up offing him again. Alright.
Yeah.
Podo asks, any chance of my Galactic Patrol What If being a video? Which one was it?
The one, Galactic Patrol Racing.
Oh, yeah, well, Podo basically said, well, basically, from what we said, we are very interested in it, so we are definitely written it down. It's very intriguing, because it'd be a good way to bring in Mirrors. So, yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Patrick Kennelly, what if Goku and Frieza's roles were reversed? Okay, so basically, if the Saiyans and Goku was, like, the Empire leader, you know,
Filthy ice people!
like, King Cold is, like, the last bastion of their race and stuff like that. And his two children are the ones to be able to act out his plan to defeat the evil Saiyan Empire. I can imagine, like, King Cold being a very eccentric good guy father.
Yeah.
That could be fun. Kiwi stuff. What if they never retcon Potara's and Vegito stayed fused after Zamasu permanently? Well, you can check out one of What If Vegito Stayed Fused series. You can check that one out. It's got 6 parts in there. We recently reached the Tournament of Power. So, you can go and check that one out. Red Dragon Force 2. What if Elder Mori unlocked Z-Fighter's potential before the Namekians left for New Namek, and kept a communicator from Bulma to keep in touch more easily? Well, I feel like the communicator's not really much of a problem now because of instant transmission that Goku has. Also, I feel like I'm not really sure Mori has the ability to unlock potential, having just become the new Elder. I feel like that's something that you kind of like get with experience, or you can refine to its fullest.
I mean, I think at the point, at this point in Super, he can have it.
I'd say by now, because it's been like a decade or so. I feel like by now he would have the ability to do it. Red Dragon Force 2. Also, same what if applied to Future Trunks' timeline. Which one was that in relation to?
Can you repeat it?
Basically, same what if applied to Future Trunks' timeline. Red Dragon, can you elaborate on that, please? Just to remind us.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, until when Red Dragon.
With more.
Oh, what? Sorry.
With the one with Mori, if he could unlock.
Oh, right. Okay.
Tension.
Right. Well, in that case, basically, if that were to happen, then it probably mean that the androids probably wouldn't have been defeated, or that they would have won, or they would have won against the androids, or at least to be much closer. More people would still be alive. So I feel like that'd be the case. One Protoss. Hey Goku, I just made a wish with the Dragon Balls to make everything you eat taste like grapes.
No! You monster Protoss! I dare you. I am going to send every single vineyard in your direction. A grape on you, sir!
There you go. Jesse Goff clarifying Goku is the only Super Saiyan while he's alive. Oh, okay. So basically, that's the one, if only one Super Saiyan at a time. So basically, if Goku's the only one, and then when he dies, someone else becomes a Super Saiyan? I don't know how that could be easily regulated, but if that were the case, then I'm afraid the sound would have to play. Only Lord Mickey, in regards to my earlier what if, and the what if Goku and Bulma never met, recall that Red Ribbon Army and Pilaf are fighting, so the rice cooker was never opened. Oh yeah, of course, from my old one, before what ifs were really a thing on this channel. So basically, it was like, what if Goku and Bulma never met, and Bulma got eaten by Monster Carrot, I remember.
Yeah.
And then it was just a battle between the Red Ribbon Army and Pilaf.
Yeah.
So yeah. So basically, I think when we were talking about Mickey was like a different scenario, but you're very much right. In that video, I had it that the Red Ribbon Army and Pilaf were at odds with each other. So very well remembered. Very well remembered. Chancellor's next. What if Bulma were Dr. Jiro's daughter? That would be a very interesting twist. But we did have that.
Yeah.
We did have that before. That'd be a very interesting twist. Like maybe, Jiro, Bulma's mother, somehow like got it to Dr. Brees or something like that because he wasn't a fit to be a father, almost. Maybe.
I mean, he wouldn't be a good father, and yeah.
He really wouldn't be. No, definitely not. Anditesh Ordo. What if there was a massive universal crisis and Universe 7 had to revive Planet Vegeta to boost the mortal level of Universe 7? Also have Goku and Vegeta go and train their fathers and complete over strongest fathers. Okay, so basically, if it was the fate of the universe to bring back Planet Vegeta and its inhabitants, I could feel like basically, you know, Goku and Vegeta would go there and basically just tell everyone, hey, you don't do the thing that you do anymore. You follow by our rules now. And King Vegeta would be so, what would be the meaning of this, my son? Blah, 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 blah. And I feel like he would actually, you know, Vegeta would basically, you know, threaten to kill him. Like saying, if you don't do what I say, I will have no hesitation in destroying you. Because they would literally be, like, thousands, hundreds of thousands of times stronger than any Saiyan on that planet.
Also, I think Vegeta and Goku are beyond, you know, contest of fathers at this point.
Yeah, but they would try and make sure to, like, that they toe the line almost. Red Dragon Force 2. What if Mystic Super Saiyan meant you're stuck until your game ended? MSSJ? What would that mean? Red Dragon.
Once again? Yeah.
Red Dragon, can you elaborate, please? Alright, well, while you're doing that, we'll go to Chancellor. What if Dr. Beast and Dr. Girole's rules...
Master Super Saiyan.
Oh, like full power Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
Well, basically, you'd have Chi-Chi going, wow, my son's a delinquent. And they'd also have trouble, like, trying to, sorry about that, Red Dragon. 3 times. I know. Sorry about that. But basically, if that were the case, then their identities after the Cell games would be a little bit more obvious. Yeah. Chancellor, what if Dr. Bruce and Dr. Girole's roles were swapped? So it's just sorry, Red Dragon, I'm just a bit out of it today. So I'm just a little bit oof. Dr. Bruce and Dr. Girole's roles were swapped. Well, Dr. Girole would probably have used his powers to well, his technique, skills to better humankind a bit more, like, directly, using more robotic stuff. And I feel like if Dr. Bruce's role was swapped, then I feel like he'd be a little bit less mad.
Yeah.
Would you say?
Yeah, he would be like, you know, like a little bit grumpy, you know. He would be less nice than Briefs, but like he would be helpful and, you know, like he would be like, why don't you change that tail to a robotic one? It's much more dependable, Goku.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be a bit more forceful. Right, next up. What if Gohan kept using his sword until the Buu Saga? Oh, what with the Z sword? Or was that? Is that the case? Or you mean, like, kept using his sword until the Buu Saga? What? Sorry, Red Dragon. I mean, I'm a bit confused, because you mean the Z sword? Like, if you found some way to be able to fix the Z sword, perhaps? Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. Haverok, what do you think?
The sword that Piccolo gave him, yeah.
Oh, that. Sorry. Oh, that was. Sorry, that was a. Didn't really.
That was a difficult.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. Well, if he did, I feel like he and Trunks would have even more things to bond over.
The origin of the Trunks sword would be much easier to explain than,
it would be,
you know.
because that's how he got his sword. There you go. It would. Yeah, you wouldn't have the whole Tapion thing.
Yeah. Even though Tapion is kind of cool.
Yeah, Tapion is kind of cool, but it does throw a lot of spanners in the works. Combin Spark, what if humans get Zenkais in which they get a boost during near-death experiences, not after, and loses it after? It gets stronger based on training. So basically, if they have near-death experiences, they get a boost, but if they die, they don't get it. I think it would depend. It depends on how intense the experience was. I mean, with Krillin and Yamcha, I mean, they would be the strongest humans ever created. So there you go.
Yeah.
Hannah Rowan, what if Boo decided to spawn a daughter after seeing the relationship between Hercule and Videl after the Boo saga? Well, in Dragon Ball Online, he did. Or
did.
No, he made a wife and then children, and then basically another subspecies. So if you check out, I did a couple of videos on this technique. They call the technique booby booby, so that kind of thing. And it was mainly down to him reading Mr. Satan's books about Bob and Margaret.
And I feel, you know, as far as Toriyama is concerned, this is canon.
I think, why would he change it? It's too perfect.
Yeah, it's his head canon.
Yeah, it's too perfect. It's just perfect for what it is. Recon's next with what if Goku was raised by Roshi? We've had this quite a few times. But basically what we've said before is that if Roshi raised Goku, he would use Goku to try and score chicks. You know, single parent father and all that, having to beat the odds. You know, the missus isn't giving me the alimony. You know, isn't paying the maintenance. You know, it's so hard. And when he realizes it's not working, he'll just pawn him off to Grandpa Gohan. You know. But later on, I said, I was your dad for a while, but then I gave you away. What?
Nothing.
Yeah. Mark Galvin. I know you prefer the future Trunks timeline constant, but what if future Gohan went to the past? Could be done with Goku marrying Bulma and Nappa turned good. Yeah, of course, if we were to retcon those, we would probably have used Gohan, but I feel like Gohan would have probably had a harder time trying to keep his cool.
And in Nappa we have future Nappa, which is already something different.
Yeah, exactly. That was I think that was one of the first timelines where he actually went quite different to what we did before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we did actually go quite bold with that one, certainly. Okay. Next one is Benjamin Jenkins. What if the humans could match the Saiyans' power? Well, you basically would have a very interesting thing, and there'd be, you know, Goku wouldn't have an advantage. You just have different types of powers that worked in different ways.
I mean, technically, we have one human that can, and it's Oob, and I know that he's technically a reincarnation of a demonic being, but he's technically a human.
Ah, yes, that is very true. Of course. That is very true. So yeah, half Saiyan hybrids and all that kind of stuff, they're kind of like bridging the gap almost. Alright, and our last one is Anime Guy 01. What if the Z Fighters trained on Yardrat to prepare for the androids? Well, we did talk about this earlier, but if Tenshinhan, Krillin, and Yamcha were able to do it, as in the Big Green dub, they would survive. Wouldn't they? Haverok?
Most definitely. Most
It's the
definitely.
Big Green dub. I thought you'd be really receptive to that.
I'm sorry. I was doing a thing, but like because I was coughing and I was talking to air.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
Well,
yes.
basically, it'd be one of those interesting things. But yeah, I could see that, you know, Tenshinhan would be the one to benefit from it from the most. But there we go. That's it. We've gone through actually everything.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, we managed to get through it quite quickly. So thank you all, everybody. I think we're going to be calling it a day because basically I've got to be up very early tomorrow because I'm going to be doing a thing at Philly school. So basically just very, yeah, I've got to get up and be all diplomatic and, you know, be inspirational to children and stuff like that. You know, stay in school and all that jazz. Things.
Yeah, and I inhaled some smog, so I'm not very receptive right now.
Yeah, so there we go.
My
So
town is pretty smoggy.
exactly. So we'll probably call it a day today. So thank you all so much for tuning in, everybody, and stay tuned for Saturday's video. You'll be very much liking it. And we shall see you on the next stream next week. So take care, everybody. Have a good night.